Hello everybody, today I'm going to show you, we loaded hay before, I'm going to show you how I unload it. I stack it on pallets. We're just going to do some chatting, some BSing, some talking, and some working. Well, hopefully you guys are along for the ride, okay? We'll start getting some hay unloaded here and stacked on pallets. I got to bring home about 70 bale today. I think we need a lower cog. We're up in high gear. We don't need to be in high gear, do we? Oh, gracious goodness me. Got about 100. Now we've got over 200 round bales baled so far. So, well, I didn't throw them pallets out of the way quite far enough to suit myself. We might finish that other row up. I put these on pallets, guys, and then after I'm satisfied they're done sweating, I'll cover them with tarps. We got a local company that, well, I say local, 20-30 miles from me. They make those canvas tarps that go over like hopper bottom semi-grain trailers and other things, asphalt. It basically a covered trailer. They make them. And of course, them need repaired and replaced every once in a while, right? And they always pretty well leave the old ones behind. And they're no good for use, but they sure work right. Most of them's about 9 foot wide, so they work real nice for covering this hay. It'll just cover the tops and the sides, and they're as long as what a trailer is, 30-some feet, 42 feet, 45 feet, 43 feet, some of them. Doesn't matter, and they're heavy, and most of them's got a hole or two on them, but most of them's around the edge where it's run over the bows at. So they're still real good on what I need them to do. And I was getting them a few years ago for $5 a piece. Probably just soda pop money or pizza money for the guys that work there. And all last I give is $10 a piece, and that still ain't no trouble. Guys, we're kind of getting into the habit of I want to try. I hate this DJI camera. I hope I can get it to work. The only reason I bought the daggum thing, well, my other camera, which is a whole lot cheaper, it's got a scuff on the lens now from carrying it in its protective case. It didn't protect it. It wore a scuff on the lens where it was touching that acrylic to acrylic. But I digress. That was a $100 camera, and I sure like it way better than this one here, and this one here's a lot higher price. But, if you hear my phone going off, start sounding like a dog, that's because I got an alarm set. I don't let it record more than 5 minutes at a time so far. I ain't figured out no other way to not lose a bunch of video. I've lost a lot of good video that I had for you guys. Raking and baling both. But anyhow, if you hear my alarm going off, that's because I'm going to stop this camera. I'm just going to hit the stop, and then I'll wait a couple seconds, hit record again. And yeah, I know you can do it on loop record. I had it set on 5-minute loop record, and I was losing the crap out of stuff. I got it set on maximum right now, and I'm just letting it record for 5 minutes. It seems to be working. I got one video already. We're thinking a homemade joystick. This loader come from the factory. It's a 541 loader, and it come running off the rear hydraulics. To me, running a loader off the rear hydraulics is about the most worthless thing you can do. I can't hook a hay mower up to it, and I usually don't mow with the loader anyhow. I take the loader off a lot. it's too easy to take off. Oh, that there ain't gonna want to stay. It's too easy to take the loader on and off. Oh, there's my alarm. Okay, we're back. We had a commercial break. Appreciate you guys sticking around. I take this loader on and off just as often as I need to. And like if I'm baling, that thing just ain't gonna want to sit there, is it? We'll turn him over. But I take this loader on and off all the time. But if I want to bale with this tractor and big bale, and I will big bale in the bottoms with this tractor, I leave the loader on it so I can load out. And if I big bale, like I say, if I big bale with this tractor, I leave the loader. We're gonna have a string unwrapped off that thing before I'm done with it. If it'd roll the other way, it really wouldn't bother me, but it don't seem to want to. But if I big bale with this in the bottoms, there we might have it. I leave the loader on it just so I can load out when I'm down there, right? And of course my tractor's got to have hydraulics to run the baler. Well, if I've got my remote tied up, I got to lift up the loader, unplug it, hope it don't leak down. Unplug it under pressure, replug it. That's the dumbest thing I ever seen. So I plumbed in a joystick loader here. That was pretty good business. I bought this tractor pretty reasonable. Of course, it's got a lot of hours on it. And it was missing all the purdies like shifter knobs and all that. The only reason I got anything near this new is because, well, this old tractor's about clapped out, and it needed some tender love and care. One of the previous videos, I guess depends on what order I get them edited, went talking about chainsaw stuff a little bit, and I kind of want to talk to you guys about some more of that. And like I say, I kind of like for you guys that's with me all the time, that like chainsaws and tolerate my farming, I thought it might be kind of neat. Let you guys in on the ground floor, because the guys that's watching my channel just to get ideas for content for their own stuff, well, let them wait till the video comes out. It will come out. We'll make a video on what we're going to talk about. But some of this stuff I want to talk to you guys about first, get your impression. Because let's face it, we all know I'm not that good of a chainsaw mechanic. I'm not even I don't even want to be a chainsaw mechanic. I just want to understand two-strokes and play with them, right? Chainsaws is where it's at. They're cheap, especially on an aftermarket. And that's all I'm dealing with, is aftermarket parts. But I want to talk to you guys about fuel economy. I think it's a quite important thing. Well, I know it is. And it's more important to some than in others. Some people it's more important. They want power. And if they got to stop, if they're cutting firewood next to the pickup truck, it's not that big of an inconvenience for those guys, or if they're cutting in a wood yard or whatever, it's not that important for those guys' fuel economy. If they get run out of fuel, well, they just stop, drink it up the coffee, and going about their business. But if you're carrying your throw jugs through the woods, and you're only taking a gallon with you for the day, or you're climbing a tree and you just got what's in the saw, and you want to work your way down or work your way up or whatever, you don't want to be sending that saw down to the ground crew. If you got a ground crew, you don't want to be sending that saw down or having them send fuel up, whichever the case may be, however you do it, any more than you absolutely have to. So fuel economy is a big deal, right? Well, and so is weight on the chainsaw. chainsaw. So why does everybody want more power out of a chainsaw? Well, you're basically increasing your power to weight, which cuts down on fatigue. Oh, the alarm went off. Time to start her again. Oh, I better start my alarm again. So where was we at? Power to weight. That's why we all want to hop up our saws so we get better power to weight, right? Because if the weight didn't matter, we'd all be running 2100s and 880s and things like that, right? We just have all the power we can stand if we didn't care about the weight. So we want to take a small saw and get more power out of it, right? Well, that leads us to horsepower, which is heat. We know that. And let's say a 3-horse engine, 3-horse chainsaw, factory ain't buying fuel, they're buying aluminum. So they give it enough aluminum to fuel that 3-horse chainsaw and no more, right? Or not much more. And we want to run 4-horse to it or 5-horse to it. Well, we may not have enough aluminum to do that now, to dissipate that heat. And you can do it with muffler mods and everything else. Where I'm going with this is we're going to put these chainsaws above the horsepower they were designed. So, what's a way to cool them? We all know mufflers. We all know running them fat. We all know this, we all know that. But a lot of those are hard on fuel. And maybe some things are hard on fuel and some things aren't. A muffler, depends on how it is, may or may not be hard on fuel. It may actually be more efficient. But where I'm going to go with this is the squish band, squish area. There's been a lot of talk on squish area ratio in the motorcycle world for years. Matter of fact, they used to make a piston chainsaw company used to make one. Didn't even have a squish band around it. Man, it made a lot of power, but it made a lot of heat too. It just eats that piston. So then they started trying to do other things to combat that, and essentially we just settled on squish bands. Well, what is a squish band? That's the area at the edge of the cylinder that gets real tight, and there's generally about flat, parallel between the top of the piston and the top of the cylinder, right? Well, that fuel burns later than everything in that combustion chamber. It doesn't get over to that squish band. That's under that squish area. It doesn't burn under there as efficiently. So the bigger a squish area you have, the more of an insulate. Well, and that, let me back up a minute. Because that doesn't burn as good and as efficiently, that basically makes that saw, or makes that edge of that cylinder and that piston right there cooler. It's not burning as hot. It's burning later. It's not burning as good, not burning as efficient. Basically, oh, let's go the other way. This thing don't have a shuttle shift. She's synchronized gears. Hit the wrong one. It's a real tight pattern. Anyhow, so we know that basically that squish area, that area right there is just like running your saw real fat. That doesn't burn as good right there. There's a lot of unburnt fuel. Well, we know running our saw fat will keep it cooler, right? Running it lean will burn it up. Running it fat will keep it cooler. But running it fat's not good for fuel efficiency either. But if in that squish area, it's only running fat right there. So if you do a great big old chamber cut, and it's hard to tell people's angles on the YouTube, some of them chamber or squish areas look that big, and I know they can't be. They've probably got another angle in there, which is good. But my point is, or the point I'm getting ready to make is, that squish area, I think, is going to be directly proportionate to how much horsepower you're making, number one, And number two, how much aluminum you've got to dissipate heat. Meaning, if you got enough aluminum in that chainsaw to dissipate the heat, you don't need much squish band. But if you take a saw that's got 3 horsepower, only designed to cool 3 horsepower, and you're making 5 out of it, 7, 10, I don't care, let's get stupid. I think the more you make out of that exponentially, the more you're gonna have to find ways to cool it. Exhaust, running at fat, fuel inefficiencies. The exhaust, of course, is a no-brainer. Get rid of heat there where you can. That's a no-brainer. I'm thinking the next thing, next step after that is making that squish area, the squish band width, proper to how much horsepower you're making. Meaning, if I'm making, let's say I took a stock saw and done a muffler mod on it and gained a little bit, I may actually get away with less squish band and actually make the saw more efficient, more fuel efficient. Let's say I got 200,000 squish band, I done a muffler mod, got rid of some heat, I might actually be able to stand a little bit more heat, meaning I could put that squish band narrowed up, and actually I could narrow that squish band up and never get the saw any hotter and get a better burn. I'm burning more of what's under that squish band. If I burn more of what's under that squish band, my fuel efficiency just went up. Conversely, if I'm building a 5-horse saw out of a 3-horse saw, I may need a 250,000 squish band. I want to be able to play with that on Dyno, and I think I can do that. I think I can start figuring that out, at least for one saw at a time. And eventually maybe we'll get enough information to extrapolate an answer. They claim there's 2 kinds of people in the world. Those that can extrapolate the answer through partial information. Actually, I think there's 3 kinds of people in the world. Those that are good at math and those that ain't. So, guys, tell me what you think about this. I'll probably talk about it here a little bit more here in just a second. I've got to switch trucks here on you. We've got another truck to pull up and get unloaded, so I'll be back with you guys here in a little bit. Well, I forgot where I was at. Had to go lay down some more pallets. But anyhow, we was talking about squish area, and I can measure, being able to measure the heat in the cylinder like I can. I think that will be a pretty good deal. One of my last videos, I was talking about combustion gases get by the ring and fouling the bottom end of that saw and basically heating up that bottom end. He's like, well, can you measure temperature down there? It'd be neat to measure temperature down there. You can tell, especially when I get back to doing this thin ring testing. And oh my goodness, are we on the business for thin rings? I want to get back to that pretty soon. We got us a good way to thin down rings now and do it consistently and accurately. I want to show you guys that. That is awesome. But anyhow, the guy needs to be able to measure and see how much blow-by you're getting. I've modified my leak down tester so it will give me a little bit better reading. And I'll tell you what I did, those leak down testers, when you zero them out, you're only at like 25 psi. That's all I was trying to put past them rings. Well, I think that'll probably measure what's going through your ring gap okay, but I don't know if that'll measure as a it gets worse and worse what's going through combustion gases. So I've got mine now where it'll go 100 psi, and I think I need to build one from scratch. All those are is a regulator, right, that you can adjust, get that up to a certain like 100 psi, 25 out of the factory. And what there is, there's an orifice in there, a small orifice, and that lets a certain amount of volume of air through. Well, if you're leaking, and basically your percent of leak down is the pressure on the orifice side. So the more leak down you have, the less pressure you're going to show on that side, right? Because only a certain amount's making it through the orifice. I got some little bitty drill bits, very, very minute, and I need to take that in there apart and see how big an orifice is in there, and maybe cut that in half. That way it's letting even less air through it at 100 psi, depending on how much is leaking by. But I think if I put a smaller orifice on there, because we're dealing with smaller cubic inch for sure than what those things were designed, I think we can do a little bit better measuring there. Eventually, I think, I was starting to talk on that a minute ago, I think this next saw, like I say, it'll probably spend life on the dyno. It'll probably never cut wood, maybe make a cookie or two, but it'll be just all for testing theories. So I don't really care if I got to drill a hole in the case to be able to put a thermocouple in. I don't care. If I ruin the case, I'll buy another cheap case half. You know what I'm saying? Of course you know what I'm saying. Why did I even ask? You guys ain't idiots. I'm going to start, I don't want to start, well, let's face it. You say stuff like, you know what I mean, and you know what I'm saying. You say that whenever you're to the end of a thought process, and you're trying to buy yourself a little bit of time before you make your next thought. I try not to make a habit for me. But, oh, I can sit here in silence, idiot. But I think I'll show you guys that, I'll get to show you guys that deal for doing rings here pretty soon, because I think we're pretty close to doing that again. So, where was we at? Oh, upcoming stuff. Yeah, I think we're going to, after we get done with this muffler, test Iron Horse's theory a little bit. I think we'll go back to the 2-ring testing again. I got 5 sets. I got a new set in right now that I've tried. I had a little bit of trouble finding rings for that 026 in a 1.5 millimeter ring. They were stock standard 1.2 millimeter. Well, the aftermarket cylinder I've been going with is a 1.5 millimeter ring lands in it. So I went and called Wolf Creek Saw Shop, and to get a good set of rings, I was going to buy 4 or 5 sets of cavers to do this testing with. Well, I'm going to be stuck with, I did get them from HL Supply, so I'm happy that I was able to get them. And they can't be much. They just $3 and something rings. Freight and everything is less than $5 a piece. And if we run them, we'll do 5 more. That daggum wasp is gonna bite me. But no, we got us a deal to thin rings with, and I showed, I sent Iron Horse a private deal and let him know about it, because basically, let's face it, him thinning rings and single ring, he's the first guy I heard jabbering about that. Tin Man does too. I'm just saying Iron Horse is first for me. And Iron Horse, or Tin Man, runs a lot of single ring. And I just want to do some testing on it and see how to make it work. And this may be the wrong saw. This saw I'm committed on. But I was talking to Iron Horse. He's done enough of them. He says that D-shaped chamber actually is not near as conducive to that. And he suspicions that a smaller bore may not be as conducive. And so I'm trying to apply some stuff that may not translate anyway. And we'll probably try again in this next one. And I might be willing to give up a little bit of combustion gases going by. We're just going to have to see where we're at. I think the measure in combustion gases will be actually measuring the heat of the combustion gases will be easier on the next chainsaw, because I think I'm not going to mind. I'll just drill a hole right in the case of it if I can find a room in there to where that thermocouple will not impede the rotating mass inside there. Let's face it, there's not a lot of room. But if I can hide that somewhere where about the impulse line goes or something like that, I'd like to be able to measure lower end case temperature and see what that's doing. And a guy might be able to put a stick-on thermocouple on it, but it's just going to measure the aluminum, which over, I guess, a couple minute time, a minute or two heat run on the dyno would heat that aluminum up. But I was really wanting to measure the air temperature in there like I'm doing on the exhaust. And if I get a little bit of exhaust leak, that ain't going to hurt nothing. If I get intake there, if I get leak in that lower case down there, that's going to skew our results too. So a lot of this is sitting there figuring out the next thing I can do with this dyno, or what I can add to it, or whatever like that. That takes a lot of thinking. Not many people have capability of measuring heat on their dyno. Not many people have the capability of holding it at a certain horsepower like I do for my heat runs, holding it at 10,000 RPMs for a full minute and measuring heat the whole time. That's kind of neat, and I like adding more stuff to it, because just horsepower is, it's nice to know, but it's not the be-all, end-all. Sometimes we need to know about heat. Sometimes we need to know how fast we're losing heat. That's a neat one on that thing. I can hold that at 10,000 RPMs, and as the heat climbs, I can see the horsepower going down, and I can tell a little bit between mod to mod. Hey, that one's heating up worse, and I'm actually losing horsepower faster at the end of a minute run. I did a mod that showed gaining horsepower at the beginning, but after the saw's hot, and after you cut through it for a minute, you've actually lost horsepower. So you kind of got to watch that. And we got a pretty good homemade dyno, pretty good software for it. I think we're going to make some. Oh, got lined up with the wrong one, didn't I? My blood sugar's a little off today, and I can't see for shucks. Well, I can. I mean, I got decent enough vision. Between the sweat in my eyes and the blood sugar being off, I thought I was still too wide. I thought I was still too deep on. I thought I had a bale on this side in the front, and I don't. That's why I always have them 2-power spectaculars in my pocket, so I can reach them babies out there. When my sugar's right, I don't need them so bad, but when my sugar ain't, I need them pretty bad. And I try not to let it go up and down like that. And I hadn't checked it in a week or 10 days, and I got to seeing the signs of my blood sugar was up, and I checked it this morning. It's 222. I need to get back to it. But I'd ate like I was in the field all day yesterday. I'd ate 2 hamburgers, some potato salad. Of course, hamburgers had buns. That's the part that's where I'm saying I ate 2 hamburgers, 8 buns. Big old mess of tater salad, some tater chips, you know, all that stuff that tastes good, so therefore you know it ain't good. Ha-ha! It was a hot son of a buck out yesterday. 92 degrees on the real field, don't know what that is metric. 92 degrees actual temperature. It was 110.6 on the real field. Whatever you call it, according to my weather station. So, it don't take a whole lot of that to dehydrate, and I drink 3 quarts of water, but I get a bad headache if I deplete my body of nutrients, and that's what I did yesterday. if I'll drink a road pop every once in a while, yeah, I don't deplete my body so bad. But guys, I appreciate you hanging around. Nice talking to you. Appreciate it. Jump down there in the comments. Let me know what you think. Get some back and forth going. My email is down in the description. It's down towards the bottom, and there's a lot in the description, generally always. But my email's down in the description. My face web page is down there. I don't check either one of them all that often. I don't get that much. I check my Facebook a little bit once a day, and my email once a day, once every other day. But that's a place to get a hold of me if you can't get a hold of me here. Because I know, I'll take my earplugs out and quit hollering at you. I know, like, a lot of you are probably like I am. I've been watching people on YouTube for a long time, and I never had a Gmail account, didn't want one. And the only reason I got one was I had to have it to activate something that I wanted, so I bit the bullet and got a Gmail account, and I thought, well, while I'm doing it, I just well sign on to YouTube so I can start commenting on some of the YouTube people I always like been watching for years. I say that to say this: if you don't think it's anybody's business what you watch on YouTube and ain't signed in and therefore can't comment or can't do this, drop me an email if you need to. I appreciate it. Some guy dropped me an email the other day, say he really liked my channel. Made me feel good. He took time out of his busy day. It was important enough for him to tell me that he went ahead and opened up his email, copied and pasted my email, however he put it in there, and sent me an email telling me he liked my channel. I'm not saying his comments any more or any less valid than all y'all that's just in the comments, but I know the trouble he went through to take it, and I guess just knowing the trouble sometimes makes you think. Appreciate it. Guys, if I earned it, go hitchhiking. If I didn't, go Julius Caesaring. Subscribe if you haven't, if I ain't aggravated the crap out of you yet. We'll have some fun on here, though. If I can get this new camera, which I still hate it. It may not even be recording this part, don't know. If I can get this thing figured out, we'll start having some more fun out here in the open like this. A little bit easier video. Appreciate it, guys.